In 2007, I was 7 months pregnant with our second son and having a great pregnancy, feeling great, on top of the world, and surprisingly started having some discomfort in my left breast, which I thought was pregnancy changes. But when I went in to talk to my OB about it, he was suspicious and quickly found out I had breast cancer. I was 30 years old and 7 months pregnant, and our world was turned upside down. So I started chemotherapy while I was pregnant. I had 4 rounds of chemo, and then I delivered a healthy little baby boy and went back to chemo when he was 13 days old. I had a double mastectomy and reconstruction, and basically was in treatment for the whole first year of his life. Through it all, completely determined that we were gonna beat this. But we did it, and were luckily enough to be deemed cancer-free after that year of treatment, and really went back to living a life full of love and laughter and joy. And I ran several marathons and climbed mountains and rappelled down waterfalls and traveled around the world and did all the things that I've always done with an incredible gratitude of having faced cancer. It was an amazing 7 years until one day my back started hurting while I was trail running. MRI revealed an orange-sized tumor on my sacrum, which was metastatic breast cancer.
The mission of Twisted Pink is to fund metastatic breast cancer research and to expose the hidden statistics about the disease. Most people don't know that there's 155,000 women living in the United States with metastatic breast cancer, and 40,000 of those women will die this year.
What I'm actually looking at is the woman sitting across from me in the exam room who has young children, who's trying to get to a wedding or trying to get to a graduation or just thinking about the future of her family, and that poses extra sense of urgency to try to help her.
And if you think about that, walking into clinics every day and having oncologists say to them, you know, this is not a curable type of cancer. We can keep you alive for a certain period of time, but ultimately you will succumb to this cancer.
So Twisted Pink is unique because we are funding metastatic breast cancer research, and 100% of our net profits go to research.
Here at the Brown Cancer Center at the University of Louisville, we're very focused on developing new therapeutics. What we're doing is coming up with completely novel approaches, taking a completely different approach than the pharmaceutical industry. The culture and the infrastructure of a pharmaceutical company doesn't allow for this creativity and innovation that occurs at an academic institution such as ours.
We've really emphasized research that's going to make a difference for patients in the near future, not the distant future.
And so a lot of the research here done at the Cancer Center is looking at targeted therapy, what we call translational research, which is looking at a mechanism of something that causes the cancer, allows it to spread or allows it to grow, and specifically manipulating that so that we have smarter therapies.
So our lab has identified a key enzyme that we know cancer cells and really metastatic cancer cells need to survive. Now what this enzyme does, it actually increases the amount of glucose that cancer cells have access to. And you can imagine that that will give cancer cells an advantage if they have a lot of glucose or sugar. It'll give them a lot of energy and it'll allow them to grow. The neat thing that we discover is that this key enzyme is controlled by estrogen receptor, which plays a crucial role in breast cancer cells. So what we have done is we have combined an inhibitor to this key enzyme with an inhibitor to the estrogen receptor. And by combining those two potent inhibitors, we have been able to show that it increases cancer cell death. So what Twisted Pink is allowing us is to test our models, which will have a great impact in women living with metastatic breast cancer cells. We wouldn't be able to have the funds to test our hypothesis if it wasn't because of the Twisted Pink funds.
The huge advantage of having these flexible funds is that we can fund high-risk, high-gain projects that the NIH or the American Cancer Society wouldn't fund And that allows the scientists to get enough data that they can go to the NIH or the American Cancer Society and get funding to support the continued development.
In the world of oncology therapeutics, we used to make little dents here and there. We would get a couple months, we would get a couple weeks in terms of how long women are living. And now we're seeing that measured in years, and that's a really exciting time.
I was diagnosed at 39 years old. I have 3 young children. My biggest fear is leaving my children without a mother because nobody can take care of them like I do. When it hits home like that, it becomes very personal, and that's why Twisted Pink was started.
I'm a mother myself, and talking to Twisted Pink and patients living with metastatic cancers drive me, and they really motivate me to do the kind of work we do here.
Living with cancer is terrifying, but when you sit and you talk to the researchers at the Brown Cancer Center and they tell you their ideas and they tell you what you're working on and they show you what they're doing, they're working so hard every day. They're coming in and staring at these microscopes, trying to understand how to save my life. I can't even put to words how much that means to me and to all the other women who are living with metastatic breast cancer. I have a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old. And I have an amazing husband. And all I want is for our family to be a family of 4.
So remember that the women fighting this disease, it could be your wife, it could be your sister, it could be your mother. We need your help to create an atmosphere where those women have hope for survival. And by funding research, that's going to happen.